Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Naresh Chaurasia and in this video we are going to look at what is microservices architecture. So let's get started. Now before we understand microservices architecture, let us look at what are modern applications. As you can see in the definition here, modern applications must perform well, they must be resilient to error, and they also must have flexible architecture that can adapt to new requirements and keep its data secure. So let's try to understand this in more details. Now it's very obvious what it means to perform well, of course. Let us then look at what is meant by resilient to errors. Let me go to Google and find out what is resilient to error. From the definition, as you can see, a system is resilient if it has capability of tolerating some error without a significant impact on output quality. What it means is that the system that we build or the modern applications that we build should be resilient to error, and also they should have flexible architecture. Flexible architecture means that if there is any change in requirement or if there is any change in the technology, the architecture should be able to adapt to the changes as per the new requirements. Also, one of the most important feature of modern applications are that it must keep the data secure. Now let us look at the definition of microservices. As you can see, microservices is an architectural style where autonomous, independently deployable services collaborate together to form a broader software application or system. Now this statement is pretty loaded, and let us try to understand each of this concept with the following diagram. Now as you can see in this diagram, there are a lot of components, and I'll get into the details of component in different videos, but for now if you look at, there is an API gateway and load balancer, there is a Eureka discovery services, I have multiple microservices. So basically there are various autonomous and independent components which are actually collaborating with each other, and they form a broader system of microservices. These different components, they interact, they collaborate and work in harmony so that they can solve a particular business problem. That is what is a microservices architecture. Now in this particular slide, I have put the definition of microservices and the architecture next to each other to understand the concept better. So as per definition, microservices is an architectural style where autonomous, independently deployable services collaborate together. So each of these is an autonomous service, which is API gateway and load balancer, Eureka discovery service, microservice, all are autonomous services, and they are independently deployable, meaning that you can deploy this microservice independent of this microservice or this microservice. So they are independently deployable and they collaborate together. So they interact with each other, collaborate together to form a broader software application or a system. I understand that it can be very overwhelming to understand all of this, but as we move along in further videos, I'll get into details of each component and how they work together to form an ecosystem of microservices architecture. Now let us look at some of the benefits of microservices. They are small services, meaning that an independent microservice or a functionality can be completely owned by a single team, and since it is small in size, it is easier to understand, and if there is a need to rewrite the entire microservices maybe in a different language, then it can be easily rewritten. Next benefit of microservices is that it is easy to scale up and scale down. So let's say you have a particular microservices which takes care of user registration. So if in case during a certain period of time there are a lot of registrations happening, I can easily scale up by spinning multiple microservices, meaning that it is easy to scale up each service individually, and when the work is done I can reduce or scale down the instances of microservices that are running. So that is a concept of scale up, scale down, and therefore it makes it very cost effective that we only need to have as many instances of microservices that are required. So the next benefit of microservices is choice of technology. Either you can continue to use existing technology or you can easily adapt to a new technology if that is what the requirement demands. You can also use the right tool, meaning that, for example, let's say one of your microservice is making use of relational database, other might want to use NoSQL database, and it is perfectly fine and it is very easy to do so in microservices. Now you have an option to switch technologies, tools, but still there is scope for standardizing the technology stack and processes, which can be easily achieved. So the next benefit of microservices is time to market or agility. Now the microservices can adapt rapidly to the changing market conditions, to the changing technology and changing requirement. And it is also easy to reuse some or all of the components of what has been written as a part of microservice. So these features and capabilities makes it easy to time to market the entire software. Then the next benefit is ease of deployment. We have already discussed that the different microservices can be independently deployed, and therefore it reduces or lowers the risk of deployment. And because one microservice is independent of the deployment of any other microservice, it reduces or minimizes the downtime. As in the case of monolith, you have to bring down the entire application. It is not so in the case of microservices, and therefore there is a minimal downtime. And also we can frequently update the microservices. And finally, it is a popular choice. Having features like easy to scale, it performs well, and it easily adapts to the changing business needs. Let us now look at some of the challenges with microservices. So the first challenge of microservices is complex interaction. We have to take care to avoid inefficient and chatty communication between microservices. Now, if you look at this diagram, it has a lot of components. There is an API gateway and load balancer, Eureka discovery service, multiple microservices are there. So the interaction between these different components becomes pretty complex and can be chatty. So while writing a microservices, we have to make sure that we manage the complex interaction. Now the next challenge of using microservices is deployment. So you need to automate the entire process. Now what do I mean by that? Now if you look at this particular architecture diagram, you can see that there are a lot of components working together. It becomes pretty difficult if you have to individually and manually deploy all of this component. So the best way and the most efficient way to deploy microservices is that you have to automate the entire process. Then the next one is monitoring. We need a centralized place to check logs and monitor for problems. As you can again see from this diagram, there are a lot of components here. So what we have to do is that we have to have a proper mechanism and a centralized mechanism of monitoring and checking the various services and how they are performing, which can be a pretty complex implementation. So that was a brief overview of microservices. I will cover more details about microservices architecture in my upcoming videos. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.